In this video, I'm going to be building every Star Wars movie in LEGO. However, as an added challenge, each build must be completed in the time it would take to watch that movie. So I'll have 2 hours and 16 minutes to build Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and I will be building this scene when the Jedi stop the invasion of Naboo. Let's get started with the hangar, which will have this fancy floor design covering the entire thing. On the other side will be a section of wall with a blast door in the middle. We can also attach some equipment and these locks next to the entrance, and right in front will be Darth Maul. Thankfully, Qui-Gon Jinn is ready for battle alongside Obi-Wan Kenobi. This section is definitely a good start, but there's a lot left, and I only have 1 hour and 25 minutes remaining. So let's continue the hangar wall, making sure to add in these pillars, along with some supply crates underneath. For this corner, let's build a curved wall, and to wrap up another section right here. In the movie, the hangar has these starfighters, and thankfully I found this amazing custom model. All we need to do now is swap the pilot so we have Anakin flying, and lastly a swoosh test, which it passes. Now this is pod racing. The N-1 fits perfectly in the hangar. Right in front will be the Naboo guard and Queen Amidala, who are taking on this squad of battle droids that are being reinforced by a droideka. But like this, it's kinda weak, so let's add in the shield to stop any attacks. And that's the first film done in just 2 hours and 16 minutes. I really liked all the different scenes I was able to include. Up next is Attack of the Clones, in which Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme get captured, and the Jedi Order and their new army have to break them out, and the scene I'll be building is the main battle. This will need to be big, so I'll grab 2 base plates, and to make them look like Geonosis, they'll need to be completely covered in orange sand. Right now it's looking a little plain, so I made these 2 rock spires that can fit right in. You might have noticed I left this area empty, and that's because I wanted to include a mountain. On top, let's add in 2 more spires, where we can add in some Geonosians flying into battle, another one down here, and finally this guy who's already blasting a clone trooper. The main battle also had a ton of super battle droids who are being led by this commander, and the bulk of their army consists of normal battle droids. For the Republic, we can have this tank brought in using this dropship, just like in the film. The clone army is being led by Mace Windu, and his legions of troopers are right behind him. And that marks the completion of the second movie, and I think it definitely lives up to the Battle of Geonosis. The third film I'll be building is the Clone Wars animated movie, since it takes place before Episode 3, and the scene I'll be building is the opening battle on Christosis, beginning with the main road that has a unique hexagon pattern on it, and scattered around on top will be small sections of crystals. The main street is now complete, but the planet also has a ton of skyscrapers. The building is basically another hexagon with yellow windows on every floor. Back on the road, let's get the clone troopers in position, and at the very front, Obi-Wan, who has just sliced up this droid, and over here Commander Cody kicking one as well. The Separatist army is using this Octopara tank along with a ton of battle droids, so to even the odds, the Republic have these jet troopers. There's also another squad of them led by Captain Rex flanking around, and finally Anakin Skywalker aura farming on top of the tank. And just like that, we've built the Battle of Christosis from the Clone Wars movie. Now it's time for Revenge of the Sith, in which Anakin turns on his co-workers after they decline him a promotion. The obvious scene to build is the final battle versus Obi-Wan, starting off with this black base, which is empty now, but if we add in these slopes, slowly but surely it starts to look like lava. So let's do that for this entire section. Alright, that's basically perfect. On the side, we'll need to add in a hill to form the high ground, which is of course where you'll find Obi-Wan. Floating over the lava will be this platform, where Anakin is jumping backwards to attack. This might not be the best idea since Obi-Wan is ready for it. That already marks the completion of the 4th film. But we still have a ton more to get through, so let's move on to Solo: A Star Wars Story. And the scene I'll be building is the speeder chase on Corellia. To help me out, I'll be using this land speeder set, so let's get it built. Thankfully, it comes with both of the figures we'll need, and the speeder itself is armed with a stud launcher on the bottom. If you pop the hood, there's a spot for spare tools and even more ammo for the launcher, and if we add in Han and Kira, it'll be ready for action. But first, we'll need a place to put it. So we'll have this street right by the water, and at the end, an Imperial checkpoint guarded by a stormtrooper and a hound. And right here, we can add in the speeder. Even though this scene is pretty small, I think it accurately depicts the scene, and this checkpoint is no match for the speeder. The next movie in the franchise is Rogue One, in which the Rebel Alliance steals the plans for the Empire's ultimate battle station that are located on the planet Scarif, which will have 2 hours and 13 minutes to build, starting off with the ocean that merges perfectly with the wet sand on the shore, which is really coming together. In the top corner, there will be a landing pad covered in markings. On it are 3 communication antennas and this floodlight, which can actually spin around. This section over here is still pretty empty, so I'll use the Force. Wow, that actually worked, but I think I should hurry up since I only have 1 hour and 37 minutes left. So I'll move swiftly onto this Imperial bunker. I think it's pretty much done, but I'll just need to add the door control panel, and then the actual door itself. Scarif also has a bunch of plants, so I can't forget about those, and layered in behind them 3 different palm trees. Coming through the forest are some shore troopers since this U-wing just landed, dropping off a wave of rebel soldiers. Are we blind? Deploy the garrison, and as additional support, these Death Troopers. Finally, leading the rebel attack, we have Andor, and in just 2 hours and 13 minutes we've built the Battle of Scarif. It would be such a shame if such a nice planet ended up getting destroyed. At this point, I've built a total of 6 movies, meaning it's time to move on to the original trilogy. And first up is A New Hope, where Luke and the other heroes sneak onto the Death Star, rescue the princess in the Death Star, and lastly end up destroying the Death Star. So basically every scene I would have picked has something to do with the Death Star. So I decided to grab my Ultimate Collector Series 1, since it allows me to reenact a ton of scenes from A New Hope, like when Han and Luke free Leia, but due to the security they end up in the trash compactor, which can actually squeeze them. To escape the station, Obi-Wan can turn off the tractor beam, and right above him, Luke and Leia can swing to safety. Darth Vader can also argue with his colleagues or smoke his old master in battle, and you can even blow up Alderaan by using the station's super laser, which I might use on your house if you don't subscribe. Now let's move on to The Empire Strikes Back. This is when the Empire hunts down the rebels who are located at their not-so-hidden base on the ice planet Hoth, which I will be building in 2 hours and 4 minutes. Let's start off by covering this giant area in snow and some patches of rocks. Over here I will add in this small section of Echo Base, which can then be completely covered up by this giant hill. I also went ahead and made this section of a trench, which can pop right into place. This makes for quite a defendable position, and since I still have plenty of time remaining, let's add in this turret, which just like in the film can spin around. On this side, let's add in the one with the laser dish, which can also rotate, but this time you can also raise and lower its cannon. Now the rebels are ready for battle, and so is the Empire with its AT-AT, which towers over the battlefield, where you'll find a bunch of snow troopers advancing on the base, led by Lord Vader. I'm not sure the rebels stand a chance, but that's not my problem since the build is complete and I'm moving on to the next movie. Return of the Jedi, in which the Empire builds another Death Star that the rebels end up blowing up again. And don't worry, I'm not grabbing my UCS one again, even though I could. Instead, I'll be building the battle on the forest moon of Andor in just 2 hours and 11 minutes. For the ground, there will need to be a bunch of mud and some grass spread around the edges. But before I do anything else, I want to build this bunker since it's going to cost me the most amount of time. And after connecting it all together, we can move on to the sides to finish those up too. And lastly, the roof on the very top, which has 2 vents on each side. I am really happy with how this turned out, but I did spend a lot of time on it. So let's quickly move on to the trees that'll need to be covered in bark and a ton of branches, and we'll need to add one on the other side and also underneath a ton of foliage where C-3PO will be hiding. Up front, Han and Leia, and maybe the sneak attack worked too well since there's nobody to fight, so I went ahead and picked up this new AT-ST. It's pretty handy since it depicts the same scene I've already been building, so let's take the walker and get it placed into the battle, along with plenty of Imperial troopers. Stopping them are the local Ewoks, one of which has already knocked out this stormtrooper. On top of the AT-ST, let's add another one, and Chewbacca, who has thrown the driver overboard. And here's the completed Battle of Endor. I'm not sure how the Galactic Empire ended up losing to a tribe of teddy bears, but they did. At this point, we've completed both the prequel and original trilogies, but we still need to build the sequels and the new Mandalorian movie. But first, it's time for The Force Awakens, and the scene I'll be building is when Rey and Finn duel Kylo Ren. So I went ahead and made this block where I can perfectly attach these mountain sections all the way around, which worked really well. Right on top will be a bunch of thick snow that even extends onto the rocks below. In the back, I'll go ahead and add in this tree, and also another one over here, and at the bottom, another small one. Down here, I'll also add in Finn recovering from the battle, where you'll find Kylo Ren facing off against Rey, allowing me to recreate their lightsaber fight, and that's The Force Awakens complete. Even though it's a bit smaller, it's packed full of detail. The next movie in the sequel trilogy is The Last Jedi, when Rey finds Luke Skywalker to be trained as a Jedi, and it's a good thing that back in 2018 LEGO made the Ahch-To Island training set, a perfect recreation of the scene in the movie. The set comes with Luke's hut, and a spot for Rey to practice swinging her lightsaber on this rock, which when you break open reveals a gem inside. But if Rey misses, she destroys the hut. Inside there's a bed to sleep, and hidden under here a grape. And lastly, the local pork population makes for a tasty snack. The last sequel movie is Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. In this one, the Emperor somehow returns, but Rey and Kylo Ren are able to take him out, which is what I'll be building. Starting off with the rocky ground, and on the other side, the Emperor's throne made out of a bunch of pointy rocks. And we can actually place him right here. Across from him will be Rey, but in the movie this was a bit more epic, so let's upgrade the lightning, and give Rey a light up lightsaber. Oh, and let's not forget about Kylo Ren flying off the edge. The Rise of Skywalker build is now done, and you might think I've completed my challenge. However, there's one more to build, the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So let's get started since I will have 2 hours and 12 minutes to build, and I've decided to make this rebel base, and here's what I'll be working with. And to save some time, let's have Grogu help out with the water. So here are his parts, and using the Force he can get them into place. Alright, that looks great. Thanks, pal. And next is the shoreline going all the way across. In the trailer, we can see a landing pad, so I'll need to add one of those too. And to help ships land, some lamps along the side. Well, it's done, but it's also empty, so I picked up the New Republic X-Wing, and on the back of it, it actually shows the scene I'm building. But now let's make the actual set. I think it looks spot on, and it comes with 3 minifigures, which you can swap around their face to make it look like they have a helmet on. You can also have them lock S-foils in attack position, but let's just get it placed down into the build. In the corner will be this watchtower, but I never understood why this guy has a spear. Anyways, let's add Colonel board up front. Alright, we've made some good progress, but I have just under an hour left, so let's start on the walls of the hangar, on top of which will be a curved roof, and lastly to fill this gap, this wall section. And next to the hangar we'll add in some plants, and lastly palm trees in the back. Greeting the Colonel will be Mando, but I actually don't have a Grogu, so I'll just need to take him from this new set. Oh, and let's not forget about Zeb. Alright, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is now complete, and that has been every single Star Wars movie in LEGO. Let me know in the comments down below who your favorite character is, and thanks for watching.